This is just a bunch of examples where we're putting together all of the material we learned from topic 20. So this is our problem solving section, and I'm going to walk you through a few examples to give you a good idea of how to do things. So the first one, a farmer is putting up a fence for her animals, and she originally had the fence enclosing a square area. The square was 11 by 11, and that's measured in feet. Suppose she uses the same amount of fencing to enclose a circular area. What's the area of the circle? So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a diagram. We have a square that was 11 by 11, and we want to convert it to a circle, and we want to know what the area of the circle is. So we have to find out how much fencing we needed for the square, and fencing would go around the perimeter. So the perimeter of the square is 4 times each side. So the sides are 11 feet each, so it's 4 times 11. So we know that she used 44 feet of fencing. Now over here, if we use the same amount of fencing to enclose a circle, we're talking about circumference. So the circumference was 44. So we plug that in for the formula 2 pi r. So we're going to solve for r, so divide. It says to use up here 3.14 for pi, so let's go ahead and do that. So 44 equals 2 times 3.14 times the radius. So 44 equals 6.28 times the radius, and we're dividing both sides by 6.28. So 44 divided by 2.68, I'm sorry, 6.28 is 7.00636, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and round it to about 7. So the radius of the circle is 7 feet. So now it's my job to find the area of the circle. The area is pi times the radius squared. So I'm going to do 3.14 for pi, and I just found that the radius was 7. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 49, and I get 153.86, and it says to round to the nearest whole number as needed, so that's about 154. And I need to put the label, and we're dealing with feet, so the area is square feet. So that's my solution. Again, digits will have the label there, but make sure that you know how to get that by yourself. Okay, let's move on to the next example. Find the area of the shaded region, and we're going to use 3.14 for pi. So to find the area of the shaded region, what we need to do is find the area of the rectangle and take away the area of the circle. So I'm going to find the area of the rectangle, and remember the area of the rectangle is length times width. So that's 11 times 13.2, and that gives me 145.2. Then I have to take away the area of the circle. Now do you see, hopefully, that this is a half a circle here, this is a half a circle here, so we're taking away the whole circle. Now, the area of the circle is pi times radius squared, and the radius of the circle is from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle, which means it's half of 11. So the radius is 5.5. So we're using 3.14 for pi times 5.5 squared. And that gives us 95.2875. And remember, we were supposed to subtract the area of the circle, so I need to subtract that from the area of the rectangle. So I'm doing 145.2 minus 95.2875, and that gives me 349.9125. And we are supposed to round to the nearest hundredth, so 349.91, and we're talking about area. The label is inches here, so I have square inches. Alright, I'm not going to worry about what would happen if the area of one of the dimensions changed. So we're going to go on to the next example. Find the area of the figure, and what we need to see here is we would take the area of the larger, if I continued this to be a circle here, we would take the area of the larger half circle, and then we have a little tiny circle in here, so we would take away the area of the smaller half circle. So that's the idea. There's some other things that we need to figure out before we get started. So since I'm dealing with circles, I need to know the radius in order to figure out the areas. So the radius of the big circle is half of 9.6. So the radius of the big circle is 4.8. I also need to find the radius of the small circle, but that's a little bit more involved. So we know from the center to the outside is 4.8 because that's what we just found. And we know that this is 3.6 right here. So that means the radius of the small circle is 4.8 minus 3.6. So that gives me 1.2. So now I have the information that I need in order to find the areas of each. Alright, now we keep in mind that we're talking about half circles, not for full circles. So when we find the area of each, remember that we have to take half of the circle, half of the area of the circle. So the area of the big circle divided by 2 is what we're going to do first. So the area of the big circle is pi times its radius, which is 4.8 squared. And we are using 3.14 for pi. And then we take that and we divide it by 2, so we get the area of the big half circle. When I calculate all that, and I would practice if I were you to make sure you're getting the correct answer, order of operations is very important there. You have to square the 4.8 first, then multiply by 3.14, and then divide by 2. We get 36.1728. And then when we find the area of the small half circle, we take the area of the small and divide it by 2. So we have 3.14 times the radius of the small, which is 1.2, squared, and then divide that by 2 for the half circle. So we get 3.14 times 1.2 squared divided by 2. Order of operations is important. We get 2.2608. So we take the area of the big and we subtract the area of the small because that's the part that's missing in the diagram. And our answer, so the area of the figure, is 33.912 square centimeters. And we are supposed to round to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going to cut it off at the 1, so it's 33.91 square centimeters. Alright, and then we have one more, and this is without a doubt a challenge problem, so I will walk you through how to get the answer here. So it says that it costs $10.51 per foot for the curved portion of the molding, and molding is put around figures. So the molding goes where the blue is in the diagram. It costs $1.53 per foot for straight portions. How much will it cost to put molding around the window pictured? And we're using 3.14 for pi. So what I need to do is I'm going to break this into parts. I need to find how much molding is needed for that, and then separately how much molding is needed for this here, and we have to find the cost of each individually and then add them up. So let's work on the curved portion. So you can see that that's half a circle, and if we're talking about the outside of it, we're talking about the circumference, but we only have half a circle. So we're going to take the circumference, and I'm going to put this in red to match my diagram, the circumference divided by 2. So it's 2 times 3.14 times the radius over 2. So the 2's cancel, I don't have to worry about that. Now the radius of this is right here, which they say is 2 feet 3 inches. However, we have to figure it out in feet. So hopefully you know that 3 inches is 1/4 of a foot, because there are 12 inches in a foot. So 3 divided by 12 is 1/4. So I'm going to convert that to a decimal and put 0.25 feet. So the radius of this circle is 2.25 feet. So I'm going to plug that in for R. And I get 7.065 feet. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a minute. Let me go to the yellow portion that I have here. So I need to find the perimeter of just the yellow. So I add up all the sides, and we get, again, this 3 inches is 0.25 feet. So that side is 5.25, and this side is 5.25, and the bottom is not as obvious. But if you look at the circle, the radius is 2.25 feet, and this radius is 2.25 feet. So it's 2.25 here plus 2.25 here, and that gives us 4.5 for the bottom. So the perimeter of the bottom is 5.25 plus 5.25 plus 4.5. We only add up the 3 since the molding does not go up here where the top is. So we don't add that one. So we get the perimeter of what we need the molding for down at the bottom. That perimeter is 15 feet. Okay, so now I know the dimensions that I need. Now I use the cost. So it costs $10.51 per foot for the curved portion, which is this one here. So I need to multiply that by $10.51. And when I do that, I get $74.25. The street portion costs $1.53 per foot, so you take the street portion here and multiply it by $1.53, and we get $22.95. So my answer is when I add those numbers together. So $74.25 plus $22.95 gives me $97.20. Now, you're going to get 97.2 on your calculator. Be sure to put that in terms of money. So $97.20 is my answer. And that wraps up topic 20 in digits.